हेलो गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल फाइनेंशियल लेसन्स विद संची जलतारे। और मैंने आपके साथ फाइनेंशियल लेसन नंबर 6 शेयर किया फ्रॉम द बुक थिंक एंड ग्रो रिच रिटन बाय नेपोलियन हिल। सो आज मैं आपके साथ फाइनेंशियल लेसन नंबर 6 इमेजिनेशन की एक शॉर्ट स्टोरी शेयर करने जा रहा हूँ। तो शॉर्ट स्टोरी का टाइटल है द एन्चेंटेड केटल। So let's start. Many years ago, an old country doctor drove down to town, hitched his horse quietly, slipped into a drugstore by the back door, and began dickering with the young drunk clerk. His mission was destined to yield great wealth to many people. It was destined to bring to the South the most far-flung benefits since the Civil War. For more than an hour behind the prescription counter, the old doctor and the clerk talked in low tones. Then the doctor left. He went out to the buggy and brought back a large old-fashioned kettle, a big wooden paddle, and deposited them in the back of the store. The clerk inspected the kettle, reached into his inside pocket, took out a roll of bills and handed it over to the doctor. The roll contained exactly $500, the clerk's entire saving. The doctor handed over a small slip of paper on which was written a secret formula. The words on that slip of paper were, were worth a king's ransom, but not to the doctor. Those magic words were needed to start the kettle boiling, but neither the doctor nor the young clerk knew what fabulous fortunes were destined to follow from the kettle. The old doctor was glad to sell the outfit for $500. The money would pay for off his debts and give him freedom of his mind. The clerk was taking a big chance by staking his entire life saving on a mere scrap of paper and an old kettle. He never dreamed his investment would start a kettle overflowing with gold that would surpass the miraculous performance of Aladdin's lamp. What the clerk really purchased was an idea. The old kettle and the wooden paddle and the secret message on a slip of paper were incidental. The strange performance of that kettle began to take place after the new owner mixed with the secret instructions and ingredient of which the doctor knew nothing. Read this story carefully and give your imagination a test. See if you can discover what is that the young man added to the secret message which caused the kettle to overflow with gold. Remember, as you read this, this is not a story from Arabian Nights. Here you have a story of facts, stranger than fiction, facts which began in the form of an idea. Let's take a look at the very vast fortune of gold this idea has produced. It has paid and still pays a huge fortunes to men and women all over the world who distribute the contents of the kettle to millions of people. The old kettle is now one of the world's largest uh, consumers of sugar, thus providing job of a permanent nature to thousands of men and women engaged in growing sugarcane and in refining marketing sugar. The the old kettle consumes annually millions of glass bottles, providing jobs to huge number of glass workers. The old kettle gives employment to an army of clerks, copywriting and advertising experts through the nation. It has brought fame and fortune to the scores of artists who have created magnificent pictures describing the product. The old kettle has converted a small southern city into the business capital of the South, which now benefits directly or indirectly every business and practically every resident of the city. The influence of this idea now benefits every citizen country in the world, pouring out a continuous stream of gold to who touches. Gold from the kettle built and maintains one of the most prominent colleges of the South, where thousands of young people receive the training essential for success. The old kettle has done other marvelous things, all through the depression of the 1930s when factories, banks, and business houses were folding up and quitting by the thousands. The owner of this enchanted kettle went marching on, giving continuous employment to an army of men and women all over the world, and paying our extra portion of gold to those who long ago had faith in the idea. If the product of the old brass kettle could talk in it would be thrilling tales of romance in every language, romance of love, romance of business, romance of professional men and women who are daily stimulated by it. The author is sure at least one of such romance for he was a part of it. It all began not far from the spot which the drug clerk purchased the old kettle. It was here that the author met his wife, and it was who she had first told him of the enchanted kettle. It was the product of that kettle, for they were drinking where he had asked her to accept him for better or worse. Now that you know the content of the enchanted kettle is a world famous drink, it is fitting that the author who confesses that home city of the drink supplied him with a wife. Also, that drink itself provided him with stimulation of thought without intoxication, and therefore, serves to give the refreshment of mind. An author must have to do his best work. Whoever you are, wherever you may live, whatever occupation you may be engaged in, just remember in the future, every time you see the word Coca Cola, that its very empire of wealth and influence grew out of a single idea. And that's the mysterious ingredient that the drunk drug clerk Asa Candler mixed with the secret formula was imagination. Stop and think about that for a moment. Remember also that the 13 steps to riches as described in this book were the media through which the influence of Coca-Cola has been extended to every city, town, village and crossroad of the world. Any idea you may create as a sound and meticulous as Coca-Cola has the possibility of duplicating the stupidest record of this worldwide thirst killer. Truly, thoughts are things, and their scope of operation is the world itself. So इस स्टोरी में यही बताया जा रहा है जो सीक्रेट इंग्रेडिएंट जो केटल में इस्तेमाल हुआ था वो एक्चुअली उससे ही उसी के इंग्रेडिएंट से ही अब एक बहुत बड़े ब्रांड का निर्माण हुआ लेटर जिसको कोका कोला हम लोग जानते हैं. इफ़ यू लाइक दिस प्लीज़ लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब. थैंक यू.